Good morning, Spain. How lovely to have you with us once again. We've got lots of things to touch on over the next hour. We've got our legal team here at Nockolds talking about visas. Very important if you want to come and study in Spain or come and live here. On the subject of visas, Chef Charles Webb is over from Chicago because he wants to promote those places that offer visas like the digital nomad visa. So I'm looking forward to catching up with him. In all things books, Hannah is going to be covering wellness books, and Linda will be detoxing and showing us that holistic lifestyle, but she'll also be showing us some body brushing and making protein balls. Nick will also be in the food room making a nice, typical, quick, easy Spanish dish. Kristina Szekely this week is going to talk about herself, how she moved over here and the steps that she took to be the person and have the business that she does today. It's always nice to know how other people do it. Nanda will be giving us tips for our pets, our dogs in particular, how to keep them healthy, happy and well trained, which is really very, very important, particularly if we want to take them out with us. We're going to be covering so many other things that I know you will enjoy, but to start off the programme, it is such an honour to welcome back His Majesty's Ambassador Hugh Elliott. He was on our first programme, which was a great honour, and this week he's back to answer some of your questions. I've chosen one in particular. It's from Michael in Seville, and his question is, what's it like being an ambassador? What's it like in the life of an ambassador, and how can I become an ambassador? Which I thought was just so cute that would be the perfect question for Hugh Elliott. Welcome to the programme. How lovely to have you with us once again.
Good morning, Nicole. It's lovely to be back, and what a great question. And not an easy one, actually, because there's no 2 days are the same, is the first thing to say. It's an extraordinarily varied job. I might start off by hosting a breakfast for, I don't know, for a chief executive of a Spanish company investing in the UK to be updated on how their investments are going and to see if there's anything our teams can do to help that investment. I might be sort of out meeting people in the Spanish ministry, for example, earlier this year. We had lots of discussions with the Spanish Education Ministry to conclude an agreement to allow A-levels to be recognized in the Spanish system. And that was a really helpful and important negotiation. Took lots of, these things don't just pop up. They take a lot of work, a lot of behind the scenes work and meetings and discussions and negotiations to allow them to come to fruition. So that sort of thing would be part of it. I might then I might be visiting a British company that's invested in Spain and learning about their operations, because it's always much easier to help promote the UK when one knows better how it's all going. I might be doing a media interview and chatting about what I'm doing or what we're up to, or a specific issue of the day, because one of the things that's really important is for us to explain the UK's policies, explain what we're doing. I might be out and about meeting Brits. I travel a lot around the country, so some days I'm out in all over the country. Down in Malaga, I might be in Barcelona. There are lots and lots of different things I'd be doing, and of course there's a bunch of sort of slightly less glamorous internal things which anybody in any organisation has to do.
I'd like to ask you what it's like changing from Her Majesty's Ambassador to now His Majesty's Ambassador.
Both a huge change and none at all at the same time. I have to remember to say His Majesty's Ambassador, of course, because it's a lifetime of using different terminology. But one of the tremendous things I think about the transition has been the constant continuity. We saw for the King in Paris on a state visit. It was fantastic, as though he'd been doing it all his life, which funnily enough he has. And so there's an awful lot of continuity. But going back, because I realized I didn't answer the question from Michael about how you become an ambassador. I joined the Foreign Office at a sort of relatively young age. I've been working as a tour guide, funnily enough, around Europe before I joined. And And you, just like any other organization, you go through a range of different sort of junior roles. In our case, working partly in embassies overseas, partly back in the ministry and the Foreign Office in London. And you apply for jobs in an internal market. And if you're lucky, you get fantastic ones like this one. It's a huge honor to represent the United Kingdom in Spain.
I've met the ambassador on several occasions, and I have to say, it's so nice to see how much you actually really do care about the Brits living abroad and how you want to help companies come over here, be successful. I mean, look at it today, even giving us tips on how to take over your job.
Yes, I don't want to share too many tips about that. That would be risky.
Ambassador, thank you so very, very much for joining us once again. I look forward to the next time, and I hope you have an absolutely wonderful week.
Okay, thank you very much.
And now let's welcome our team members, Alex from Nockolds and Nando. Good morning, guys.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. How was the weekend?
Good, thank you.
Yes, did you sleep? How were the kids behaving?
I didn't sleep last night, but I had a good weekend, thank you.
I had my 7-year-old's birthday party, so we had a hectic weekend.
Oh, congratulations. Really, it's lovely. It's lovely that you have kids and that we can get to enjoy them. And living in Spain, we certainly get a lot of opportunities with our better weather to take them out and about, which is always nice. True. People like to come to Spain, Alex, and it's something I think that we need to talk about all the time. Visas. Yeah. No, it's like one of the biggest topics. Even if you want to come and study here now, you need to have visas to be able to stay longer than that 3 months, right?
Yeah, unfortunately with Brexit and everything, we're now considered non-EU. So yeah, we need to get a visa for everything. Several ways to do that. You can apply in England whilst you're there through the consulate. You can do it whilst you're here on your 90 days. Through a legal representative. They can apply through an online portal that there is. I mean, there are several types of visas, really. You need to kind of do a bit of homework.
It was interesting, actually, that you can apply, because, like, if you're here applying for that 90 days, is it quick enough that you can handle things? Because then you might have to leave, and then how does that work if you're applying here and only got 90 days?
Yeah, no, you'd need to be prepared before the 90 days, before arriving here. There's a lot of prerequisites that you need to do. So a lot of forms. For instance, there's an ACRO certificate, which is a criminal record certificate that you'll need to get from the UK. That takes quite a long time. I mean, I think about 6 to 8 weeks it can take, and you need to have that before. It needs to be sworn translated, it needs to be legalized, so there's a lot that needs to be done before you can come over and just say, right, I want to apply to a visa. You do need to do your homework.
My God, that's like very reminiscent of when I moved over here in the 80s.
There are several things you need to provide. I mean, depending on the visa. So a golden visa, for instance, if you were to invest into the country, if you wanted to purchase property, you'd need to purchase property 500,000 or more without any mortgage or loans, and you'd need to provide the deeds of the house. You'd need to provide there's ACRO certificate, marriage certificate if you're going to be applying with your spouse. Non-lucrative visa, you need to make sure that you need to know that you can't carry out any professional work on that visa. If you're bringing your children with you, they can study. But
would you have to show amount of money in the bank or something?
Yes,
something like
for
that?
All of these visas, you need to prove sufficient financial means, either monthly or annually, and it's based on the Spanish minimum wage. So
that is, I suppose, is one benefit. No, at least that's better than the UK minimum wage.
Yeah. So normally the main applicant, you need to prove 4 times the Spanish minimum wage. So you're looking at about 28,000 if you put it annually that you need to have in the bank to prove that you can live here, and financially sufficient sort of thing.
So when you talk about the investment properties, if somebody's looking to buy a property just as like a holiday home, is that, but it's not over 500 grand, what?
Then you can't apply for the golden visa.
Okay. Right.
But you can get other visas.
You could get another visa. So exactly, if you wanted to come over, let's say you're a pensioner, you could get the non-lucrative visa. You don't even need to be a pensioner. You could be somebody who just isn't wanting to work. You cannot work on that visa. You could look at the digital nomad visa. That's a new visa from this year where you can be a teleworker. Now you can do that as a self-employed person or an employed person.
But you have to do that from a foreign company.
Exactly, it has to be a foreign company.
It can't be a Spanish company and say, oh, I'm a digital nomad. You have to say like an English company.
So on that visa, you have to provide a lot more documentation. You need to have the certificate of inscription of the company. You need to have a letter from your company to say that you are, or a letter of employment. Or if you're self-employed, you have to write a sort of affidavit to say that I'm self-employed and I'm going to be going over to work from there. there's so many things that you need.
And will that affect where they pay the taxes and things then? Would they pay the taxes in England if you're a digital nomad?
Yes, the digital nomad tax is a little bit different. So it's based on the sort of non-resident tax basis, and above a certain amount, then you'd end up paying tax. So I'm not a tax advisor, so I don't really know much about that.
You can't be a resident and get a. You'd have to get the digital nomad visa prior to becoming
a resident. Yes. So so you can't. A Brit can't just come over here and become a resident. You have a 90-day limit, and then you have to go back for a further 3 months, and then you can come back again. So every 90 days out of 180 days, you can be in Spain. That's as a tourist, as a foreigner. Now, if you want to gain residency, unfortunately, now we have to go through the visa route.
Right. Got ya.
And that is temporary residency, and there are lots of consequences to that. You then need to look at, if you're going to be here for more than 6 months, which is the idea of a visa, you're going to become a fiscal resident as well. So there is a lot of things that you need to think about before getting a visa, definitely.
It's curious actually, because it's so much harder than before, but I don't see that there's any stopping the people coming in. I mean, it seems like people are still working out the way to come over, like I suppose like we did back in the day before that England was even part of the European Economic Community.
Yeah, no, it's definitely, the digital nomad, for instance, has opened the route for more people to come over, because there was that limitation.
So it seems like it's a lot more difficult and a lot harder to get in, but are there any benefits?
Benefits or
to put all the visas in place and to make it more difficult. Is there any benefits to Spain or any benefits to the UK, or is it?
I think it's just a fallout from Brexit.
It's just
a fallout.
They're treating us now as a non-European country, and we're having to do exactly the same as any other country.
Okay.
And it's just a shame that we obviously want to be given that benefit to say, oh, but we're Brits and we've, the whole, before all of this, everything was different. Just do it how it was. But
that's the price we pay. If we don't want to be part of Europe.
But we want to be treated like Europeans.
Exactly. So, yes, the situation we have created for ourselves, and those of us who want to live here are suffering the consequences. Anyway, we can't resolve the world, but we can through doing the right due diligence for things.
Come see a lawyer. Get that advice. You will need to know which route you need to go down, and it's easy.
And I'm actually thinking, well, I suppose you could just open up a company in England, do that process, and then get the digital nomad kind of thing.
Now the company needs to be in place for more than a year. So you can't just open a company and come over.
Needs a little bit more planning.
Yes, cheeky.
Okay, all right. Well, okay. But at least now we know. Yeah. Thank you so much.
No problem at all.
Remember, I was your hero. Yeah, I'd wear your heart like a
Good morning, Spain.
Good morning, Spain. Good morning, Spain. Good morning, Spain.
Good morning, Spain.
Good morning, Spain. Buenos dias.
Linda, Kate, good morning. Good morning. I'm so excited, Linda, to hear about this next detoxing thing and what the brush is for. It looks like a toilet brush. I'm so
intrigued.
Because it's just another way of detoxing the body. I mean, body brushing is really great to do just before you shower. So you like brushing. Well, this is really good because because you can use it for your back in the places where you can't get. What you're wanting to do is you wanting to brush it all like in upward motions, all towards the heart. But it's really good because it takes away all the dead skin. So then you're super clean before you're going into the shower. But it gets the circulation going. It gets the lymphatic, the lymphs going. So that also helps the body to process all the detoxing and releasing all the toxins from there. So it's great for circulation. It's really good for your skin. You'll start noticing that you start glowing better. With the holistic therapies that I do, it's very much into detoxing, cleansing, eating the right foods. So yeah, it's important to always have like good things, putting good things into your body, nourishing yourself. It's like we're doing a retreat also for all about detoxing for 4 days in January.
And you do body brushing there?
We'll be showing all different habits of how you can like improve your lifestyle. So it'll be stuff that you can take away from the retreat. So you'll learn all these things. Well, you were with me for a couple of days.
I know. I mean, that was absolutely. I was funny, and it is. It's just having that influence, because I don't think about what I'm doing, and I imagine a lot of people, I'm very representative, a lot of people are the same, but literally just a weekend away doing our recording for the program and exploring and doing things, it really does. In fact, I got back and immediately went to one of these health wellness shops. I need sesame seed oil, I need cardamom, I need dandelion tea, I need this. The woman was looking at me, so like, and also what was it, a Brazil nut. I have a Brazil nut a day.
Yeah, Brazil nut. You only need one Brazil nut a day, and it gives you the right amount of selenium for your body. So it's really good to have. The most important thing is variation. Just try lots of different things, but everything that you put into your mouth will give you some nutrients, some minerals, some vitamins, some energy, as long as it's natural, it's not processed and all these kind of things. So yeah.
And with this one as well, do you do it on dry skin as well?
Yes, no, it's on dry skin.
So it's not to do in the shower, it's before you get in the shower.
Before you get in the shower, so you brush your whole body. So put some nice music on in the
without
bathroom.
cream or anything, you're literally just on the dry skin as it is.
Just dry skin, and you're just like brushing it from all the way up, like all direction towards like the heart area, and going like up, and then you go into the shower. So then you clean all the dead skin.
And how often does one do this?
You can do that every time before going into the shower.
You're not going to like just report your skin off. It's like
no.
So let me. Is it a hard brush? Is it a?
It's a slightly hard brush. It's enough to like, it's a medium feel.
Okay, you feel it like brushing the dog.
It does,
It's a little brushing.
But you're not like grating it along. It's like
just a scraping, like a light.
Yeah.
It almost feels like, you know, the horse brushes.
That's what I was thinking.
Like that, isn't it?
Exactly, it's exactly what I was thinking. It's like
you'll be all shiny like a horse.
It reminds me of to get a nice glow.
But I suppose it does make sense as part of the routines, and then I suppose when you come out the shower, then you would also be putting on moisturizers of something, though, to like your poor skin feeling a little bit brushed.
But no, you'll have to try it, because you don't feel sort of like brushed, but you do feel like stimulated. You feel like you're.
It's like those exfoliating. Is it the same as those creams that you put on, like exfoliating things that you buy, or do you do those in combination, or is like one instead of the other kind of
one
thing?
Instead of the other, but you'll find doing that kind of before you're going in, because when you're in the shower and you're like moving all your skin around, it's kind of like all wet and stuff. So with that, it's like a dry thing. It's like clearing it before you even get into the shower. So
I mean, as I understand it, as cells reproduce, in the sense like every 7 years, we're completely different people, really.
I know.
No, I mean, everything does change. So I suppose it does make sense, if our skin's continually growing, that there's going to be like trimming off the roots of your hair and the same thing. No, it's the little bits that are kind of.
Well, if you look on one of these slow cameras, just doing this on your nose like that, the amount of like skin that actually is in the air, and you don't even see it. It's like
so we're breathing each other in right now, basically. No, but it's when you start thinking, it's like, yeah, we don't think what's in the air, but I suppose, it really is. We've always thought about, well, more so recently, about the infections in the air, but I've never thought about people's dead skin cells.
No, that's true.
Oh, a lovely way to start the morning.
It's kind of like a hammam, isn't it? Like that, I must say. Have you guys tried that before?
Oh yeah.
It's amazing. So like, it's kind of, as you say, you do go and you have like oils rubbed on your body, and then it's like they're literally getting rid of all of your dead skin. And the feeling that you have after is amazing, but it is disgusting, isn't it, when you see how much comes off?
Well, if you can't go there, grab yourself well, not a loo brush or a horse brush. This wonderful. Does it have a special name?
No, just a brush, but it is a natural brush, and it is probably horsehair.
So you go to like a natural shop and something like that to get it. Okay, awesome. Well, while you're off running off to get your natural brushes, Linda's going off to the Good Morning Spain kitchen to prepare protein balls, and I am going to see if I can catch up with Chef Charles, who's over from Chicago recording his hashtag Chef on Tour series.
Okay, we're back here in the Good Morning Spain kitchen, and so today I'm going to show you how to make energy balls. This is really good as a little snack, but it's also, if you're on the hop And if you're rushing out of the house, at least it's something that you can have and you can pick up, and at least you've got really good nutrients and really good proteins. So it's only 5 ingredients. So I've got 2 different types of nuts. You can choose the different nuts that you like. It's always good to toast them first. So I've already toasted these. This one I'm going to put some oats in it, some coconut, and some dates. The dates are really important to bind them together, and then you can make them into the actual ball thing. So it's super fast, super easy. You just need a blender or even a hand blender, and you just need to blend them all together. I've got 2 extra things to put in afterwards, which I just like to give it a bit more of a nuttier kind of feel, and then I've got some cherries. Cherries are really good for if you have toxins in your body. Cherries tend to hold on to those toxins or grab them and then to take them out of the body. So it's really good to have. These are actually dried ones because it's not really seasoned now, but it's good to do. So all you do is just plonk everything into the blender. So you got the nuts in. I'm using cashew nuts, but they're not my favorite. I've got like about 8 dates I'm going to put in, but you have to gauge it as you're going on how much you need for the consistency, because you want it kind of like a gooey consistency, which I'll show you shortly how it looks. So let's do that. Then we'll put a little bit of oats into there, because that's also really good at binding. And coconut. Coconut is really good. I like to have it in the sheets of coconut, because then if you buy just the desiccated, which I have desiccated here, you have less oil in it, it dries up, it goes rancid faster. I like to buy it more, if I'm going to be blending it, in the whole pieces. So you put all those together and then you start blending. So let's see how this looks. If you want to have a look at it halfway through, so you see what it's looking like so far. So it's just like grinding everything all up, but then you want to keep on blending it, so then it keeps on getting more bind to it. But with this mixture, I think I'll put a little bit of water in just to smooth it over. There's a little bit of the date water, and let's carry on blending. And to make the balls, it's super easy. You just like put a spoonful of it into your hands. Just roll it into like a little ball. So it looks like this. And then I like to dip it into like coconut afterwards, and then you've got like a little energy ball. But it's packed with all sorts of really good things, really good proteins. You've got the coconut, you've got the nuts, and you can change the covering, the coating. You could put like chocolate, you could, especially if it's like over 75% cacao, those kind of things. But what you can do is, that's what it looks like before you roll it. You can put them into the freezer, and then you can just have them ready for whenever you need it. It's great for the kids. I mean, because then the kids, when they're running out to school, you can put them into the lunch box, and it'll de-thaw by the time they'll be ready for their lunch. So there you are. Enjoy.
Make my day. Make my day.
What a pleasure to welcome Chef Charles to Good Morning Spain. How lovely to have you here in our hot, beautiful country. What's it like from Chicago?
Buenos dias, España. It's fantastic to be here. And this time of year, I'm even happier to be in this part of the world. It's nice and warm.
Chicago's nice and cold now, right? I mean, it gets cold there.
It's not moving in the direction I like it to move in. Let's put it that way.
T-shirt and a nice baseball cap and you're in heaven.
I'm in heaven. Give me little shorts on me and let's do it. Let's make it happen.
So Chef on Tour, it's an exciting project.
Thank you.
But why? Why did you come up with Chef on Tour? What is your objective?
Yeah, there's so many different objectives. I'll try to keep it as, concise as possible. Lifestyle, travel, food, those live inside of me. They're in my heart, my soul. That's extremely important. Trying to make a difference in the world. We definitely highlight a foundation or a nonprofit everywhere we go. So how can we continue to do good on the planet? That's also extremely important. We've partnered with Fundación Pimpi in this part, as well as Medac. So, driving eyeballs to what they do. And this is building content that's fun and exciting and engaging, that's the most authentic content around the pieces that we talked about.
But I kind of think, this is all fascinating and it's admirable. And the fact that you've put it together and you're actually doing it, you're here and it's all going so well. But in the sense of, I kind of think you're focusing also to highlight this digital nomad that's looking for where can I go and live and work, that you're kind of highlighting that, which I appreciate from the side of Spain, that you are pointing out that we are a very nice alternative.
That's absolutely right. The world has gone through a lot of pivots in the last few years, and one of them is people have been allowed to take their laptops and travel around the world and live around the world. So they are home office or digital nomads. In this part of the world, you're starting to see them some gravitate towards the mountains, other gravitate towards the water, some go into the jungle, some go to the desert. It's a Rubik's Cube. There's a million different options. But with this part of the world, what we're seeing is warm weather, quality of life, warm hospitality, and great food. What else do you want? You got internet, you got wellness and fitness, you got the Zen, you got the rumba, the fiesta, you got a little bit of that roaming around, and it's just a match made in heaven. This is why I think they want to lay their hats in this part of the world.
Yeah, I think you kind of, by the sound of listening to you talking, you wouldn't be against getting yourself a little place here either. You're having a good time.
It seems that's the number 2 topic point when I speak to people. First one is come and visit, and second one is when you come back to visit, let's find you a house. And I kind of feel like I'm in that trajectory already. So yeah, I'm falling in love with this part of the world. It kind of just blends with the person that I am inside and my heart and soul, and there's a lot of heart and soul in this part of the world.
As a chef, what is the dishes that you've liked the most since you've been here? Because you've been to some pretty typical places.
There's too many, and I just, I think the most important thing is the freshest of the ingredients. What I always say is if it comes from the water closest to you, well, we have it about 40 meters away. And I also say if it's on land, which is down back in the mountains, where you get great goat, you get great beef, there is venison bouncing around. So there's a lot of that as well as lamb. So you have it all right here in the general vicinity, plus some of the best produce and fruits and, that are grown, not just for your part of the world, but for the world itself.
This is a very big scale project that you're working on. But what's it like for Chef Charles back in Chicago on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah, great question. Things start really early, probably around 4 or 5 a.m. Because when it's 5 a.m. in Chicago, it's midday in Spain or midday in another part of the world. So they always start, fast and furious, which is great. Get the blood flowing. There's definitely a little gym time in there. There are a lot of different meetings. We start the meetings with Europe, then we move into the meetings with the United States, and then different time zones in the US, and then we're already moving into Asia. So there's a lot of that.
Do you do any cooking?
I do. You believe it or not, I do cooking.
Okay.
So there's jaunting through the markets, getting to my fishmongers, and really just preparing everything while I'm in Chicago, because I do live in Brazil a portion of the year, and then I'm also in Chicago as my home base. When I am in Chicago, it's either to cook for my current clients, do activations, brand activations, or anything like that, the meetings, and then of course really building out the endeavors for #ChefOnTour.
Wow, and that is how he does it. Absolutely, Admiral. Lovely to catch up with you. Thank you so much for your time.
It's been great.
And I look forward to seeing you on the next trip back.
There will be a part 2.
All the real estate agents are watching now to say, we're going to sell him a house, sell him a house. Thank you
I love
so
it.
much.
Thank you so much for having me, and I look forward to the next time.
Me too.
Thank you.
South Central dancing like no.
Good morning, Spain. It's great to be back here with you, although it feels very lonely today. Everyone's out and about. I don't know about you, but I'm always inspired by Linda and the advice that she gives on health and well-being. So that made me come up with this topic for today. I thought I'd talk about some recent best-selling books on health and well-being. It's a huge market all around the world, worth over $1 trillion. Because I think everybody at least one stage in their life have thought about bettering themselves, whether it's looking better, feeling better, or even thinking better. There's a book that's been out for about a year now that's been doing amazingly well called Ultra Processed People. Why do we all eat stuff that isn't food, and why can't we stop? It's all about our addiction as humans to processed food and the multi-million-dollar campaigns that we've grown up seeing on television or on the internet or whatever. It's by twin brothers Chris and Zand van Tulleken. They've got Dutch heritage, which is where the name comes from, but they're actually British doctors and TV presenters who have done some amazing shows on television. The book is a real eye-opening investigation into the science, the economics, the history and production of ultra-processed food. There's some real shocking revelations in the book, and a lot of reviewers have described the book as life-changing, so that's well worth a read. There's another book that I mentioned a few weeks ago because it's been doing amazingly well for well over a year now. It's called Why Has Nobody Told Me This Before? It's by Dr. Julie Smith, who's a British clinical psychologist. The book basically gives you the skills to navigate the ups and downs of everyday life. It helps you manage anxiety, deal with criticism, cope with low moods, helps you boost self-confidence, motivate yourself, and also learning to forgive yourself. Another one to mention is Undoctored by Adam Kay. He's a British TV writer, comedian, and former doctor. He's most known for his massive #1 bestseller, This Is Going to Hurt, which came out in 2017 and was made into a TV series. It basically comes from diaries that he wrote throughout his career as a doctor and was an instant Sunday Times bestseller. As a comedian, he's had sold-out shows for at least 6 years at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival. His new book, Undoctored, comes from anecdotes both on and off the wards, and the book is described as both hilariously funny and incredibly moving. I also wanted to mention Atomic Habits by James Clear. He's an American writer. This is his debut book, and it's sold well over 15 million copies, translated all around the world. The book shows you how to transform your life by making tiny changes in behaviour. When I say tiny, he talks about things like doing 2 push-ups a day, just 2. Waking up 5 minutes earlier every day. So tiny little things that we could all do if we really wanted to, that can make a massive difference. Really interesting concept. And finally, I wanted to mention Be Useful by none other than Arnold Schwarzenegger. Do you know he's 76? I couldn't believe it when I saw that. Known for films like Terminator and Kindergarten Cop, which I had to say was more my kind of film. His book gives you 7 rules to follow in order to realise your purpose in life. That's a difficult one, I think, for a lot of people to think about and try and realise what their purpose in life is. Interesting one to think about. On the back of the book, it simply says this: the world's greatest bodybuilder, the world's highest paid movie star, leader of the world's 6th largest economy. This is the same person. It sounds like a setup of a joke. This is no joke. This is Arnold Schwarzenegger. And it didn't happen by accident. I thought that was great. Gets me really excited to read the whole book. He was the youngest ever Mr. Olympia, which is basically the greatest bodybuilder in the world. He achieved this in 1970 at the age of 23, and it's a record that he still holds today. So they're just some books that I can recommend to you, which hopefully could make a huge difference in your life. You may have already read them. Let me know. Would love to hear from you. We're over to Nick now for some food.
South Central dancing like no.
Good morning and welcome to the food room. Today we are making some chicken livers with onions and brandy. Just classic Spanish tapas dish here. I've got a nice pan on medium heat. I'm just going to turn it up a little bit. We want to hear that sizzle. So I've got some really finely sliced white onion here and some really finely sliced red onion. Just about the same amount of each. I want to get some really nice colour on this, so I want to turn up the heat and I want to keep an eye on them while I talk you through the livers. Okay, so got the onions in, salt and pepper. And we want to fry these off, get some nice colour going. Meantime, we're just going to slice up some garlic. Just take the top off, take your time. You want some really nice thin slithers. So later on when we're mopping this up, they almost turn into butter. Garlic goes in. I'm going to put one more clove in. Okay, let's get this moving around. Right, so also I'm going to add into here a little bit of rosemary and a little bit of thyme. This is just going to give some great flavour to these onions. So, chicken livers. We're going to get them out of the packet and we're just going to sort through them a little bit. We just want to see if there's anything that looks a bit discoloured. We don't want it. So we're going to pull them away and just sort through them. If you see anything like this, we just want to cut it out. So we want to get these into a bowl once we've had a look through them, and I like to just cover them with a little bit of milk. Now if we just set this in the fridge for about 20 minutes, afterwards we're just going to throw away the milk. This is just going to take out any impurities in the liver. We're going to take them out and we're going to just dry them off really nicely with some paper towel. So I've got my liver here. I'm just going to season that liver on both sides, so a bit of salt and a bit of pepper on both sides. This is going to help me later on when I'm going to be cooking it, because everything's going to be so quick. So nice and dried off now. A little seasoning. Okay, so our onions are nice and crispy now. I'm going to use this opportunity just to move this to the side. I want to have the pan really nice and hot. So I'm just moving all the onions to the side of the pan, and I'm going to start cooking my livers. So I'm just going to add a little bit of olive oil to the livers so I don't have to add more to the pan. Just to give them a little cover. So we want to hear that really nice sizzling sound straight away. Right, so we know that they're already been seasoned, so we don't have to worry about that. We just want to keep an eye on our onions. Use this opportunity to maybe take out this piece of rosemary and the piece of thyme we put in earlier. Let's put all that flavour into the onions there, so that's going to be lovely. So looking for a nice char on these livers. Give them the flip. We're going to just pour in a little bit of red wine just to the side and let that reduce and let this all come together now. This is going to take nothing just to reduce. So I'm just going to add a little bit of butter. It's going to just help make this sauce nice and thick. I'm going to incorporate the onions now with the liver. The sauce. And now it's time to plate up. So, straight into your dish. I mean, you could do this with mash. There's so many endless things we could do with this, but this is just a fantastic little, another great one to go with a nice baguette or some bread in the afternoon. Nice, some of those lovely onions and garlic on top. Just looking at it, you know it's going to be tasty. Okay, so we're just going to finish that off. A little bit of fresh parsley. And a controversial one. And just a little squeeze of lemon juice. Okay, that's my Spanish livers with brandy. Good morning.
I'm delighted that this week Kate is going to be talking about what she actually does, designing. And Kate, you've been designing over the last few weeks or months the kit for boxers, and I find that so fascinating, as I enjoyed watching you box, which was great, but to see you also doing that design aspect. How did that come about? Tell us a bit about that.
So do you know what, it actually happened a couple of years ago. There was a boy who was looking for some sponsorship, and my husband, who's a PT, he said, Kate, this is something that we need to get involved in. And it's just, honestly, it's just kind of snowballed from there. And it's so much fun as well though, because there's like, I think it's like anything, you see kind of like their confidence completely change. Because obviously when they get a look that they really like, and then, you know, you're with them from the beginning to the end. So like they come in, you do the design process with them, you choose the fabrics, you see if they like the fabrics, so it's really, really nice. So you really go through every single step with them, because I think obviously there's some fabrics that some of the boxers don't like, and then it sounds really silly, but there's so many things that you need to think about, like when the light shines on the shorts, like the glow that they give and like that kind of shine. As I say, like the different kind of prints that you use, the colours, whether or not you use a matte finish or a shiny finish. So it is like a really personal. Some of them come in and they've got a full idea about what they want, and then others come in and they've got all these ideas, and you have to really kind of like strip it down and say that fabric is not going to work, because even like the weight of the short, so obviously like with the movement and the fluidity, so like I say,
I suppose the elastic waistbands, everything influences. If you know, if it's like with us with our knickers last week, no, but if you've got the wrong pair of knickers on, it really affects you. So if you've got the wrong tightness of boxer shorts, I'm sure that also goes.
And do you know what, we did actually joke about that with one of the boxers last night, because we came in, we actually made a joke like, don't forget your knickers tomorrow when you're doing the fitting, because as you say, like if the guard is, you know, a certain size, or, you know, it really is what kind of boxers they've got underneath their shorts can really affect it. So as you say, like there is
they all wear the really long shorts.
Well, do you know what? The one yesterday that we were doing a fitting for, his shorts were quite a bit longer, and we were having a bit of a laugh about it. So we were like, really, do you want them that long? Do you not want them a little bit shorter? Because we were like, it's kind of like you'll be flying in the wind.
This is very different from your children's wear range, isn't it? I mean, from little kids to these huge men, like, it's a completely different. Is the process very different as well?
Do you know what? I think in a way it does all kind of like link in hand, is because you go, it is such a process. Like you look for your inspiration, then obviously you do like a trend board, and then you look for the fabrics, and then you look for the feels, and then you look for the colours, and then you do the fitting, and then obviously you do the final fit. So like, it's weird. So now with like for example with the boxing, we have got quite a process now. We say like minimum 3 weeks. Like obviously there's some that come in and we say, right, okay, we need it for like the weekend, and obviously that's a bit like.
So do you make this yourself? Do you do the sewing and that, or do you have people?
I do. So do you know what? I've got a really lovely team. I've worked with the girls for, do you know what? I think it's been like 3 years now. And do you know what? You're just a little family though, isn't it? And stuff like, if I don't see them every day, it's kind of like, I feel like that kind of like separation. It's really weird and stuff, because I think it is like, it really is such like a team thing that you're doing. Obviously, like, you know, if you do have really late nights, like, you know, you want to be together, and like if there's one that can't go and get the fabrics, then you go and get the fabrics and stuff, and you really do kind of like create your really like your nice network. And I think that's why like some of them, like they just call up, but if we can have a face-to-face meeting, like I think that's what I love so much more, because I think like you do want that relationship with them, because you want to see them do well and you want to see them feel good as well. So I think like having that one-to-one service just makes it so much
but
more
how
special.
nice though when you, I mean, I'm not one to watch a boxing, but do you like watching boxing?
I'm more mixed martial arts than boxing.
Wow, well, do you know what? We're actually doing an MMA person's shorts and their look for.
See, they've got much more stylish shorts.
Well, if they're designed by Kate, I'm sure all of them will be the best. Doesn't matter what she puts her hand to, she does it with such panache and style. And it's funny, again, because I find it incongruous. I mean, like, you tell me you like martial arts, yeah, I can get that, but Kate likes boxing. Do you know what I mean? Your look goes with that. But Kate's she's like a little princess, and I design children's clothing, but then at the same time, she will box. She will design boxing wear. So it's really an exciting aspect of what you do. And as I said, it's nice to see that every book, you know, is a different story.
Oh, I think as you say, it is completely different for the kids wear. Like, so Nanda, my kids wear collection is very sparkles, glitzy, like unicorns, fairies, and then as you say, you literally get something that's completely different. But it's quite nice actually when some of them kind of throw in a bit of pink in there, or a few different colours and sequins, because it is weird, like it is quite a competition actually between them. It's like who can have the kind of the most craziest look. So when they come in and they just let you go like, yeah, crazy with the designs, I mean, yeah.
And now we're going to go and chat. Thank you very much, and congratulations, sweetheart.
Thank you.
And I can't wait to see you in your MA gear. Knock him up with something. So you practice or you just watch?
No, I used to compete. I used to fight semi-professionally years ago. Yeah. I had about 9 fights, but I'm too old for it now. I get hurt.
Oh, Nando, that's amazing though.
And someone else who knows her stuff is Kristina Szekely. Every week she's been giving us some real estate tips. But I thought it would be nice that this week we actually get to know a little bit more about Kristina. She moved over here over 40 years ago and has set up a very successful life and business in Spain. And I thought it would be nice for her to give us some, well, just tell us what she did, how she did it, because as I say, it's nice to know how other people do things and get some tips from that. So over to Kristina Szekely.
Good morning, Spain. I'm so happy to be with Nicole King because she's such an inspiration for all of us. And we say, well, what should we talk about today? And she says, well, why not tell a little bit about your track record or what I've been doing over the last 40 years. Well, you know, 40 years ago, where I live, which is Marbella, was a very small town. There wasn't very much. There were about 3 5-star hotels, that was it. We had the Don Pepe, we had the Marbella Club, we had the Don Carlos, which was Hilton at the time. And those were the hotels, and those were the key places. And after that, what does a young girl do? I spoke Spanish, but what do you do in a place what you don't know? There wasn't much choice. I could have become a stewardess, I could have become in the restaurant business, a boutique, or real estate. Well, real estate is business, and that's very attractive. So to me, it attracted me from day one. And of course, I didn't have a big office to start with. I was referred to by one to another. And in a way, that's kept throughout. I'm still being referred to by the grandparents, by the sister, by the uncle, by the friend. And there are so many people that I've dealt with that I'm being recommended very much through the people that have had some business with me. It's not always buying or selling. It can just be saying hello of somebody else that bought with me. But you know, it's so important that to leave something in the people's mind to remember you. And probably I'm different, young girl speaking languages, living here. So I was very lucky, and from day one I started being successful in a very small way. And I started also buying some properties, selling some properties. And then, of course, we had a very difficult period, which was the crisis of the oil crisis, and there was other crises. But, you know, business in real estate goes like this. And I'm still part of the action. And people say, oh, your billboards, I saw them everywhere. I had them from the airport coming all the way to Marbella. And it was more the American way than the Spanish way. I put my face on billboards, which no one else had done. And it was just fun. And the best story that I've had are people who, you know, feel that they know me, but they've never met me, but they've seen me around so much on billboards that they think they know me. So when they come, oh, hi, Kristina, how are you doing? So it's a very exciting life I have, because I'm also very busy with charities, busy with the business ladies that we have. Today we have our lunch, our monthly lunch. We usually have a speaker. You're welcome to come as a speaker, but you have to speak Spanish fluently, because our association is Spanish. It doesn't mean that you have to be Spanish, it's just that it's in the Spanish language. And so I love people, and this is the business where you can have most contact with people from all over the world. And it's like I've traveled many places, but those that I haven't been to, my friends tell me. There's one of my friends right now, she's in Papua. She sent me pictures. I mean, it looks unreal. So you have all these experiences through other people or through myself. And to become a realtor in Spain, well, it's fairly easy if you just want to call yourself, I'm in the real estate. But it's difficult to get to know the places, to get to know the owners, to get to know the houses. That's not so easy. But to say you're a realtor, you put yourself a little website and you're in business, and a lot of people do. but you don't know what's behind it, and you don't know if something goes wrong, is anybody there to try and solve it for you. So I think still, if you come to somebody like me that's been there forever, I think you're going to have a good time. Good morning, Spain.
Make my day. Make my day.
This was sponsored by me, Kristina Szekely.
We've been enjoying Nando's videos with all the tips on how to look after and train our dogs. It's lovely to have him in the studio, and I've been instructed to introduce this segment as Kettle training, and I have to ask, Nando, what is Kettle training?
So it kind of goes back to what Hannah was talking about. So one of the books that she mentioned was called Atomic Habits. And in that, they talk about various different things that you can do to make it more likely that you're going to perform the right behaviour and less likely to perform the wrong behaviour. So if you come in and you're really tired, but you're trying to learn the guitar, it's so easy to put the telly on and kind of give the guitar a swerve. So in that book, what they talk about is taking the batteries out of the TV remote and putting the guitar next to the sofa. Because if you do that, you're more likely to go, that's going to take more work, I'm going to pick up the guitar and give it a shot.
Right, you've made it harder for yourself. It's not just turning the telly on, you've got to do something.
Yeah, and the problem with dog training is that a lot of people kind of think of it as a chore rather than, oh, I've got to train a dog, and they've got to fit it in, and everybody's got really busy lives. And so we do a thing called kettle training. Is every time you put the kettle on,
right,
you've got to wait 5 minutes for it to boil. So while you're doing that, you keep a little pot of treats next to the kettle, put the kettle on, and you just do 5 minutes worth of training. It doesn't have to be like 1 hour a week and you turn up to a class and you do Like, there's some massive benefits to doing structured classes with an instructor. But just spending 5 minutes teaching something as simple as a sit can pay off, because at the end of the week, you've got 35 minutes worth of training done.
My house has got 35 minutes an hour probably. Kettle, to the kettle. I mean, I love my cups of tea. That actually is a really good thing. As you're saying it, I'm thinking, because like with, as you know, my boy, I mean, I say sit and his tushy touches the floor momentarily. But normally when I put the kettle on, I go back to work, and then while I'm doing that, but I could just say take that few minutes.
It's because
the kettle's boiling, put the treats by the kettle, because I know they're not ill, they're there.
Yeah. So if you just take a couple of minutes every day and practice something new, there's loads of benefits to that. You're going to start building what's called a reinforcement history. So the dog learns to sit, and instead of his bum going boom and then jumping back up again, if you feed him one treat and then feed him a second treat, he's going to sit and wait for it. Okay, so you start to build duration in your sit. Now, dogs aren't really good at generalizing. Like, so if I taught you a skill like to change a tire, if I said, right, we're going to bring the car from the road and into the garage, you'd still know how to change the tyre. But when it comes to dogs, they're not very good at that. So we teach them a sit, and they go, oh, right, so when she says sit, I have to put my bum on the floor, as long as I'm in the front room and the television's on. Okay? So what we say is you need to teach a sit in 4 different places, 4 different times. Okay? So I teach you how to sit in the front room with the telly on, but then I also teach you in the kitchen next to the kettle, and then I teach you in the garden, and I teach you in the street. And then they go, oh, sit means put my bum on the floor. It doesn't matter where I am. Or like, so it's about drawing that circle for the dog and letting them kind of work out, because they're bumbling their way through. Like, humans are great at bumbling. Like, we teach kids how to talk just by repeating and talking in front of them and like, hello mate, how's it going? Whereas dogs don't speak English, so they've got to really kind of work out the differences.
But that's such a good way. Sorry.
It is, no, really. It's I'm processing, and that just makes so much sense. But who would have thought that you needed to do it in the different places so that they can learn that the word means that wherever they are, and that they just wouldn't know that from doing it by the kettle in the kitchen.
That's it.
So that's a starting point.
That is your starting point, and then taking it out. The other thing is that it's the distractions that are involved. So when we teach a dog to sit, we think, well, he knows how to sit, why is he not sitting? But standing next to the road and when there's busy traffic and that kind of stuff, it is a whole nother level of distraction. There's so much more scent, there's so much movement, and all things that really don't bother us will bother a dog. So it'd be the equivalent of saying, right, can you do your 5 times table? And you're like, yeah, I've got that covered. But then I stick a parachute on you and throw you out the plane and go, do your 5 times table. You're like, there's kind of more important things to deal with right now. So, and that's what it's like for the dog. They've got to have the opportunity to build those steps up. Like if I put you in a plane for the first time, you might be able to manage it. I'm not going to throw you out, but you might be able to manage it, but it will take you a little bit longer. So you just got to be a little bit more patient with them.
Yeah.
And consistent.
Always
patient
consistent.
and consistent.
Always consistent.
So many things to remember. So don't worry, Nanda will consistently and patiently remind us of what we need to do, because it helps. As I say earlier with Linda, just the fact that we were together recording for the show and we were away, and she's also healthy and does everything, doesn't say to do it, but it is, you lead by example.
Yeah.
And I just found I wanted to do some of the things because it was like, okay, I can do that, sure, why not? So really good tip, thank you very much. And it's hard to believe we got to the end of the show, so let's get Linda on so we can say goodbye. Don't go away.
Make my day. Make my day.
We hope you enjoyed the programme and that you will obviously join us again next week here on 7 TV Andalusia. You can watch us online, you can watch us on television, you can go to our YouTube channel, Good Morning Spain TV. The important thing is that you just join us and enjoy all the good things that Spain has to offer. Lovely to see you all, lovely to have us all together.
It's fun to be on the programme.
It's really nice to be in the studio as well, because I'm learning so much, and I get the opportunity to kind of pick out the differences between dogs and humans, and like brushing your dogs and then brushing your humans.
Exactly. Who'd have thought? Human brushing.
And the boxing things, I mean, that was like amazing. It's good to know what you do.
Oh, thank you.
It is. It's
so
like,
nice.
because you're so shy about what you do. It's funny that you're so good with everything else. When it comes to talking about what you actually do, it's like, oh, she's so cute.
That, isn't it? Sometimes with everyone, though, isn't it?
It is. It is. Well, we hope that you're not shy, that you will join us every week. Take care of yourselves, and see you soon back in Good Morning Spain. Bye for now.